Onions, Chapter 7, Mark Twain Middle School. C.W. had been an outcast in every school he'd attended, from kindergarten in Apache Junction to second grade at Patagonia, third grade in Chandler, fourth and fifth grades in Buckeye, Flagstaff, and Gila Bend, to sixth grade in Paradise Valley, to his current nightmare, Mark Twain Middle School in Lozan, Arizona. The middle school itself was okay. What stunk were the kids inside it. With about 2,000 students, it was an average-sized school with average-sized dodos. Its great distinguishing feature was a U.S. Air Force F-86DL Sabre, sitting with his nose pointed to the sky in the front lawn next to the American flag. The school had acquired the jet from the Army Air Force when it was taken off active service. It was painted with the school colors, orange and blue. Kids were hanging out in front of the airplane when C.W. arrived for class. There was always a snide remark or two about his clothes, his red hair, or the way he walked. So far, C.W. had not been challenged directly. He dreaded the conflict that he knew was coming because it meant he'd probably be transferred to yet another foster home. On this particular day, a Monday, at the end of his first month in Lozan, C.W. had waited until the bell rang, then entered the school when the dunces were all inside. He slipped into his homeroom class unnoticed, except by Laurie, a cute little blonde girl who sat next to him. He liked Laurie. She'd been helpful on his first day and was sympathetic when some of the clowns had made snotty remarks and tried to intimidate him. She always smiled at him and made him feel at ease. She was doing it right now. "Thanks for working with me on my algebra, Charlie," she whispered. "It really helped." C.W. was good at math. It was a clean branch of study, all about numbers and rules, the neat stuff that nobody could say was stupid or open to interpretation. "Sure. Thanks for helping me with my diagramming." C.W. wasn't good at grammar or diagramming sentences. He just started on his reading project with Mrs. Fuller, but hadn't gotten very far. He still needed help with English. "I wish we had the same lunch hour. We could talk more," Laurie said as the teacher entered the room. The teacher was an older woman, stern, with no sense of humor, and no one dared talk in her presence. So the only time C.W. had to talk to his newfound friend was before or after homeroom. C.W. dreaded lunch. He brought a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, which Mrs. Williams had prepared for him because it was, cheap. The boys in the lunchroom made fun of his sandwich, called it a first grader's sandwich. Nah, 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 nah. Each seventh grade class had to sit at the same lunch table. C.W. grabbed the seat at the end of the table near the trash cans, so he had at least one side that was protected. As he sat down a little after noon, the rest of the class were seated across from him. "Hey, Chuck," Billy Soronsky said, sitting down beside C.W. Apart from Laurie, Billy was the only other kid he liked. Soronsky was small and slender, a target for bullies, who called him the twerp. He drifted to C.W. because he was a new kid and was nice to him. "I got 5 new comic books yesterday. Guess what they are?" C.W. smiled and shook his head. "I don't know. Superman? The Hulk?" "Close. Real close. It's the Hulk's cousin, Jennifer Walters." Billy opened a brown paper sack, took out a tuna fish sandwich, some pickles, and chips. She's a new character. She's on the verge of death because of, CW broke in, an assassination attempt, and the only thing that's going to save her is a blood transfusion from Bruce Banner, who's everybody knows the Incredible Hulk, Billy chimed in, his voice rising with excitement. So, you know about her? About the She-Hulk? Yeah, CW replied, taking a large bite from his sandwich. I almost bought some She-Hulk, but I settled on Black Cat, Trial of Galactus, the Dark Phoenix Saga, and a couple of others. Oh, I also got the Incredible Hulk. Which one? Number 51. Oh, yeah. Yeah, The Death of Destiny. I got that one. Tell me about the Black Cat. I don't have any of those. Well, she's teamed up with Spider-Man. Her dad is a famous cat burglar. I'll let you read it. Great, Billy said, looking up. Uh-oh, here comes our own Hulk. Randy Rock Willard was a big, heavy 12-year-old who was a school bully. Unfortunately, he was in CW's homeroom and lunch hour. He'd sized CW up several times, but never made a threatening move until now. Rock sat across from CW and Billy and put his plate down. Hey, skinny twerp, who's your fat friend? Rock said, directing his comment at Billy. He's not fat like you, Rock, and I'd rather be skinny than have bulging muscles and an empty head. Rock stared at Billy. You're pretty snotty for a little twerp. We're going to have a talk after school. Oh, I don't think so. My dad's picking me up. We're going to buy some paint. Oh, by the way, my dad's a black belt. He's very, very good in karate. Looks to me like your belt is just an old piece of rope. Rock turned to the boy sitting next to him. Listen to this little turd. He thinks he can insult me and get away with it. I'd rather be a little turd than a great big piece of... Billy's statement was cut short by the appearance of a lunch guard in the form of a large Mexican woman named Lupe. Lupe had more muscles than all the boys at the table put together, as well as a few tattoos, and when she spoke, the boys listened. No swearing in the classroom, guys. You know the rules. Her voice was low and menacing. Right, Billy said, smiling at CW. I think I'll sit somewhere else, Rock said as he picked up his plate and milk carton. He walked to the opposite end of the table and found an empty place on the bench. You're a brave little guy, CW said, finishing his sandwich. Has Rock ever tried to hurt you? Yeah, but I'm really fast. He can't catch me. Hey, what are you doing this Saturday? Maybe we can get together and play Dungeons and Dragons? CW shook his head. I got a job on Saturdays. Doing what? Picketing in front of City Hall. Billy looked at him, was about to say something, but the bell rang, ending their lunch period. Tell me tomorrow. As CW walked back to his class, he found himself thinking about Billy. The kid had guts, didn't seem to be afraid of anyone. CW liked Billy and was feeling admiration for him. Then he suddenly stopped walking and stood still. Don't get too friendly, buddy, he said to himself out loud. Don't get to know anybody. You may not be here next week. Something will happen. It always does.